Alright. So I'm going full afterburner here. I've got plenty of fuel, and I just want to build up some speed and altitude. To prepare ourselves here, we're going to be using the AIM120 AMRAM, so I'm going to use the weapon select switch and select AMRAM. Now, I'll go ahead and get the radar set up for use. We're going to use 4 bars, 80 miles of range, and high intensity scan. Hit the set button to save those settings, and then we'll switch over to TWS, track while scan. I'll set up the left page. I'm going to use the EW page so I can view my RWR. The AIM120C, which sets your countermeasure programs, is currently on standby. I'm going to go ahead and hit the mode button here a couple times so that it's set to semi-auto. I'm going to go ahead and turn the hood on, so I've got additional situational awareness, looking out the aircraft. And in addition to that, I'm going to make the HSI at the bottom screen soy by pressing the sensor control switch down. It's soy, indicated by the diamond in the top right corner. Now I'm going to press the sensor control switch down a second time, and that just switched the page to the SA page. Now we've got the compass rose just like the HSI page, but in addition to that, we can now see contacts relative to us, with our aircraft being represented in the center of the screen. I'm going to increase the range to 160 miles, and now I can see enemy contacts, which is their information is currently being provided to me by my friendly AWACS via data link. So we'll go ahead and start turning towards those contacts. So whilst I have that SA page open and soy, I'm going to move my cursor over the top of the Bandit, and I can see that he is currently 0.6 Mach and 6,000 feet in altitude. So I'm feeling pretty good about this encounter, considering that I've climbed up to 25,000, and I will continue to climb at least to 30,000 feet to give my missiles a really good chance. I'm going to bring my the attack radar to as soy by clicking the sensor control switch right, and now we can see that the diamond indicates the attack radar is soy, and we are now able to control the cursor there. Additionally, one thing I would like to do is to start jamming, make it harder for the Bandit to lock me. I'm going to switch the ECM mode to emitting. That way the jammer on our aircraft is active. Alright, so as we're continuing to close the distance on our Bandit, I'm going to go ahead and decrease the range on the SA page, so it's going to be easier to track his distance relative to me. Nice, it's a little better when the page is zoomed in. Make sure that my radar is likewise set for 80 miles in range, and we can see him just out here between 80 and 70, closing in on 60 miles, shall I say. So currently each tick here, this tick, the one down the middle, represents half your max range. So then you can easily tell the distance of the rest of them. So this would be 40, 60, and this one down here is 20. So he's 6,000 in altitude. I need to make sure that my radar elevation range can encompass that target. So he's currently below my radar elevation range, being 6,000 feet in altitude. So I'm going to use my radar elevator switch down to bring my radar elevation scan to encompass his elevation. So as long as his range is between those two numbers on the yellow cursor, you should be able to get a lock, which you can see I just did. He's now become a solid, has a star to indicate that he's not only locked but my primary target, and the ACT circle has just shown up on the radar to indicate that there's a lock. I'm going to switch my TWS mode from manual to auto, meaning that now the radar is going to do all the work to follow this bandit in terms of altitude and azimuth. So that eases up the workload on me. Now my primary focus is going to be on my hood. We have an ACT circle on the hood, and there are carets representing max range of your missile, a caret representing the no escape range of your missile, and a caret representing the minimum firing range of your missile, of which beyond that it's probably useless firing the AMRAAM. So we're currently 30 miles out from the target. I'm waiting for this line to go past the min range before I could consider firing at my target. We could also see the min range on the radar, attack radar, and the target is about to fall under that. So I'm just going to bring my radar down to 40 so I can see all of that information a little clearer. Alright, so now this line inscribed in the ACT circle has gone past my min range. I can fire this missile and it should be able to track my target. But I'm going to wait just a little longer and try to give my missile a higher probability of kill. The higher probability of kill you have, the larger the ACT circle in your radar is going to become. I'm going to start bringing my ACT circle down to essentially encompass and center this green dot in the middle of it. And this is going to give your missile the best possible lead on the target. I'm holding on the trigger. Fox 3. There goes one AMRAAM at my target. I am now cranking to the left, going to keep the target at the edge of my radar while still providing guidance. Now the ACT had timed out and it's at time to go. As we can see, 4, 3, 2, 1, and it should just hit my target now, and he is having a bad day. Splash 1 MiG-29. And there he is, burning up just before he enters the ocean. Alright, I'm going to hit TDC depress at the center of my radar to recenter the azimuth on my radar. I'm going to set my radar back to manual so that I can control the radar elevation. And at this point, I can resume attacking other targets. We have an AWACS further up ahead, so I'm going to go ahead and engage him and show the entire process one last time. Surprisingly, we actually got a lock on him pretty quick, so I'm going to hit the auto button so that my radar can continue to manage his azimuth and altitude. But we are way too far to fire, and my aircraft is leaning to the left due to the lack of weight on my left wing after firing that AMRAAM. So I'm going to trim to the right just a little. There we go, that's much better. Alright, so we'll continue to close in on the target. I am waiting for us to get within min range. But as of this time, the indicator is just somewhere way out of reach, and we just lost lock. So in order to regain lock, I'm going to have to set my radar mode back to manual, and we'll have to work with this bandit. He's at 6,000 feet in altitude, so I'll try to keep my my altitude scan range centered around him. So 17 to -12, that should do a good job of encompassing the bandit at the current altitude that he's traveling at. And if you're ever wondering, the radar also indicates where your scan range is on the left-hand side, and this caret, which is moving up and down, is actually your radar elevation. And you can see you can move it down and up using the radar elevation buttons. I'm going to recenter that on my bandit, make sure that I have plenty of room above and below. And I'm just going to turn towards him as he is slightly to the left of my nose. And so in this situation, data link has no information as to his whereabouts. Neither does my attack radar, so I'm just going to follow my RWR as it's continuing to give away his position. One thing you have to be really comfortable with is making use of every bit of information that your aircraft provides you. Alright, I think I might even have visual of the target. There we go, we got a lock. Switching radar to auto mode, and we can see that we are well within min range, indicated by the line inside the circle. I'm going to go ahead and center the solid dot in the middle of my ACT circle for the lead. Box 3 by holding the trigger. And since the AWACS is a very large plane, it can take a few hits. I'm going to fire one more. Box 3. And the first missile hit. And the second missile hit. And if he isn't going down after that, I would be shocked. We'll turn around and make sure that he is in fact going down. But it's never over until the fat lady sings. As I said, she is a big girl. She can take some hits. Those missiles both hit him, and he is still going. That thing is just an absolute tank. I'm going to finish him off with some AIM-9s. There's no way we're letting that thing land. Box 2, box 2. Alright, that took care of him. And splash. So that's using AIM120s for BVR in TWS mode, and you got a little bonus with the use of AIM9s.